My name's Rex. She'll call me Captain.
What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
The shroud of the dark side has fallen.
Calling fives. On heavy.
Begun. The Clone War has.
Hello, you're listening to The World Between Worlds, a Star Wars podcast where four film enthusiasts and Star Wars fans are going over the entire Star Wars chronology, including the television shows. Right now we're talking about the Clone Wars, so if you've been listening along, you know this week we're going to be talking about Boba Fett, but if this is your first time tuning in, you will have had to have watched Season 2, Episode 20, Death Trap, Season 2, Episode 21, R2 Comes Home, and 22, Lethal Takedown.
My name is Keach. My name's really Keats, though.
My name is Jordan.
My name is Yates. This week, we finally catch up with Baby Boba after Attack of the Clones. Baby Boba, not the nicest.
He's a bad little boy.
Stuck in the terrible twos at 11 years old.
For sure.
He never grows up.
His hair is sick, though.
There's a lot of Boba lovers out there.
Boba Fett? No, people don't like Boba Fett.
Some people think he's like the center of Star Wars. I'm saying that like
Everyone's like first tattoo is like the symbol of the Mandalorians, like
I'm not gonna lie,
tribe or whatever.
I kind of fantasized about getting it for a while.
Oh my god. So to everyone listening, I don't think we're all huge Boba Fett fans on this podcast. I know I'm not.
I think he's like, his armor looks cool, and his voice definitely sounds cool, but that's all we really know about him. So coming into this trio of episodes, we're finally gonna learn more about Boba Fett. Maybe I'll like him more. What about you?
His armor's okay.
Jordan, this is where you're falling to
the
muddy waters.
Okay, like the helmet's cool, and oh wow, he's
You don't like-
he's so badass. He has Wookiee fur, like
Oh, is that what that is? I was just about to say
yeah, the Wookiee
braids.
fur or whatever, because he like killed a Wookiee or some shit.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think you're both right. Boba Fett is two things. He's the design, and I guess you could make the argument, yeah, is Boba Fett the coolest looking thing of all time?
Oh, I thought.
But
No.
but he he's also the gunslinger. He's also, he's like, I think if I remember right, it might have just been for Clone Wars, but I want to say it was actually for Empire Strikes Back, where they said, Boba Fett is like Lee Van Cleef in the Good, Bad, and the Ugly trilogy. He's just, a guy who walks on stage and he is badass. And they just need someone to come in that is not Darth Vader that can get the job done. And, that's all we really know about Boba Fett, is just that he is good at his job, and he looks cool.
He's a plot device.
But he is the best version of a plot device. Look, they're not pretending. In Empire Strikes Back, they're not pretending that Boba Fett is some fucking miracle, because you know what? They didn't know he was going to take off in that way. But when he is on screen, there's a little of that sizzle, a little of that snap, crackle, pop. Do you feel what I'm saying, Jordan?
Yeah, when he pops on screen, I do feel like eating Rice Krispies.
Yes, but then going back to Attack of the Clones, in Attack of the Clones, Boba Fett is not a very intimidating character. He is a little boy, and he has only a number of lines, maybe 3 or 4 lines in the whole movie. He spends the film in the shadow of Jango Fett, who is the clone template for Boba and for all the clones. Boba does virtually nothing in the movie.
You shoot Obi-Wan.
He does, yeah. So we do get, he is ruthless. It's like obvious that the bounty hunter lifestyle of his dad has rubbed off on him a bit, probably. But
I think from George Lucas's mind, he was probably thinking that he's making a prequel trilogy, and Boba Fett has become this very beloved icon in Star Wars. So if he did a prequel trilogy and didn't even bother to include Boba Fett, he would probably get a lot of hate for that. So I know he's not like utilized the strongest in Attack of the Clones, but I think he really just wanted to like show how he went down the dark path that he he came from.
Right, and it all stems from this great conflict that that the whole focus of this show is on. The conflict that leads to the destruction of the Republic. There are these individual moments that also lead to the downfall of other characters and have effects way into the future. The case for Boba Fett being that the last moment we see him is he's carrying his dad's decapitated head in his hands, which is pretty intense. Splat effect, and perfect lead up and setup for these 3 episodes. I do know that from the notes on the screenplay for Revenge of the Sith, this is something that George Lucas always wanted to do. That seed was for Boba Fett to come back and face off with Mace Windu, but there is no time for Boba Fett in Revenge of the Sith. But instead, we did get these 3 episodes, which, what a great payoff. You wait 10 years, and then you get, or however long, it was probably more like 4 or 5 years, but you wait 4 or 5 years.
George Lucas probably aged 20 years.
George Lucas aged 20 years after the reaction to the prequels, but all we had to do was wait 5 years, and then we got these great 3 little episodes to continue that little plot thread.
I agree. It's pretty great. I really enjoyed the second and third episode. The first episode was kind of like, I don't want to say standard, but it was kind of like one note.
The first episode, Death Trap, begins with young visiting clone cadets, a bunch of little clones, and we've been in the show so long that, we don't realize, except of course all of us totally did, that among the young clone cadets is young Boba Fett, and he has come for one reason, and that is to get revenge on Mace Windu. He has accomplices, he has the means to kill Mace, and comes very close, and this is a pretty straightforward suspense episode. Interestingly, the heart of the episode, Boba's really the main character in this episode. And he is, a child going out to kill Mace Windu, who we recognize to be, one of the more formidable Jedi, period.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling this episode until the moment where Boba confronts the clone.
What are you doing? We're brothers. Don't shoot!
You're not my brother.
Don't shoot!
Don't worry.
So he stuns the clone instead of shooting him, and then he destroys the reactor, and this beautiful music plays. And
Dude, I thought it was so bad.
What? It was so good.
Wait, you're talking about something else. I'm talking about like the Boba Fett theme.
He's talking about the same thing. The theme plays during that section.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I liked it too.
Dude, I hate that theme.
So it's good. That's when I was like into the episode, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm kind of into this now.
So, you bring up an interesting point, Jordan, that, that scene was probably the most, emotional moment in the episode, that, Boba is not going to kill this clone because the clone looks like his dad, and the whole reason he can infiltrate the Republic base is that Boba is a clone himself. We all love the clones. I love the clones. The clone episodes are some of my favorite episodes. We had that great episode with Rex 2 weeks ago. Boba Fett is of that world. That's where he came from. He came from Kamino. That's where he grew up. That's where we really know him from as an audience. And now he's being reintroduced to that, but in a very different way.
I thought the biggest problem with the first episode is that it relies too hard on, the Boba Fett shock value of, we're finally getting a Boba Fett story.
And then he's just a kid.
And it plays out exactly how you think a kid trying to destroy a starship would. And he kind of... he succeeds at that, but he fails at his overall objective.
Well, yeah. I think that's interesting. He's forced to do something he doesn't want to do because he doesn't want to blow up the ship.
He just wants to
nor
kill
should
Mace. Yeah, he just wants to kill Mace.
He just wants to kill Mace Windu, and that's the one thing he can't do. And it's not even for lack of trying. He did everything right. It was pure coincidence that Mace Windu did not get killed. I guess we could assume that Mace Windu is smart enough to dodge the bomb that was placed in his room, but he came very close to activating it, and it's only by coincidence that he had to leave and go to the other room.
I don't even think his reflexes could be that fast because it blew up immediately. So I think Mace would have died if...
It could be, yeah, definitely.
I did think Mace Windu was really cool in this episode. His whole attitude changes in that one scene where he's trying to he's just tired of Anakin, which I'm actually kind of curious about why Anakin is doing this. How
what do you mean doing this? What Anakin's doing? Because my whole question was I can't believe Anakin's just working with Mace Windu. That sounds like Anakin's the lamest like assignment he could possibly get.
No, I'm talking about the assignment of working with children. Like, you know how celebrities, if they like get into a major accident or like you know how they like go to court and they're like, you have to do this DUI videotape on why you shouldn't drink and drive.
Like Anakin's being punished and forced to work with the kids.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I wrote down, who did Anakin kill to get in this kind of punishment?
The senator guy from the last episode.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's his punishment. Yeah, it all kind of ties together loosely.
Yeah, Mace and Anakin were interesting characters to put against Boba Fett. I think.
Yeah, I would have liked a different character. Just like I'm getting tired of just seeing Anakin in every single huge situation.
And it's understandable. I mean, this is his story technically, this like Skywalker saga, but at the same time,
But not every single major thing that happens.
No, I totally agree. This is totally like a Mace Windu story.
I'm just tired of seeing Anakin. I would just like someone else.
Anakin and Mace is one of the relationships I like seeing fleshed out. There's not a lot of opportunities to see that, so pretty much all the exchanges between the two of them I appreciated. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Anakin wasn't not necessary for this episode. But, one thing I did like was that Mace and Anakin are sort of, both of them very, like, war and battle-oriented people at this point, and their headspace is totally somewhere else in regards to who might be behind this plot. Mace, I don't think has thought about Jango Fett since the second he turned off his purple lightsaber after the Battle of Geonosis. But meanwhile, on another side of the galaxy, there's this, young boy who's gonna turn into the guy that, freezes Han Solo.
That's all he thinks about.
All he thinks about is killing Mace Windu.
Whose helmet is that anyway?
It belongs to a bounty hunter I killed on Geonosis by the name of Jango Fett.
You mean the clone template?
Yes. Strangely enough, he had a son. Or at least a clone he regarded as a son. His name is Boba Fett.
I remember now. Obi-Wan listed him in his report on Kamino.
Boba was on Geonosis when his father died. He watched as I killed him.
That would complicate things.
Indeed.
Understandable, though. I mean, he did, like, chop off his head.
Yeah, I think it's a good example of just, like, collateral damage that, the Jedi are just so focused on what they're doing that's like, oh, Boba Fett? Wow, like, that's a throwback. All right.
That's a throw.
I know what that is. Because, like I was saying before, like, the whole driving force of the episode is, like, knowing that, like, the shock value of Boba Fett. But also, I think, subconsciously, it's supposed to be like, who is Boba Fett working with? So I think when we get to the end of the episode, we get this reveal of this new character, who, if you're
the type of person who's watching a bunch of those videos that dissect every single freaking second of the movie and point out random characters in the background, and then they get super popular because they just look cool.
You'll know who this is.
Boba Fett. You'll know who it is.
And we're all those people, though, to be fair.
That's true, I'm not gonna lie. I'm the biggest hypocrite out there.
Well, I mean, Jordan, we talked in episode 0 about how one of the first comics you ever lent me and one of the first comics I read was The Phantom Revealed, which was a Dark Horse omnibus, which featured right on the front cover Aurra Sing. And Aurra Sing was, a character that had some following before Clone Wars as an EU character. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I love that story with Ki-Adi-Mundi and his Padawan Asherad Het, who's one of my favorite.
Yeah, you love Asherad Het.
Yeah, dude, Asherad Het, Darth Krayt.
Is that like the Bothan, or?
No, he's the Tusken Raider Jedi.
Oh, right.
He's so sick.
Asherad Het is Darth Krayt, right?
Yeah.
Who's Darth Krayt?
He's the one who he
Legacy.
morphed with Yuzan Vong.
Is he Snoke?
Yeah, so I was well aware of Aurra Sing as a character because that was one of my favorite comics. I remember I got the comic from this action figure 2-pack that came with Asherad Het and Ki-Adi-Mundi's master, the Dark Woman, who was another character with a purple lightsaber.
Dude, those were so cool. I really hope they start doing that again.
Yeah, those were really cool. I hope so too. Yeah, but I would love to have seen her use lightsabers because she used lightsabers in that comic because she would kill Jedi. I mean, they did use that aspect in this because she was trying to kill Mace Windu.
Sure.
Which I guess implies some history with killing Jedi. But she like fought Asherad Het in like the old comic, and it was like really cool to see her use lightsabers. I can't remember if she was trained or not as a Jedi in the old canon.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, she's just a really cool character. I've always wanted an action figure.
Is that a comic worth reading?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like by one of my favorite artists. I can't remember his name. He has like a weird like Italian name or something. But yeah, definitely look it up. It's called The Hunt for Aurra Sing.
Beautiful.
There you go, Keith.
Beautiful plug.
There you go.
Over the course of the whole episode, Boba gradually earns the respect of his peers because meanwhile, while all these little kids are learning in Clone Computer Town, like that one shot of Attack of the Clones where they all have like little things on their heads and are looking at
computers,
touching touch screens.
It's like that one scene in Jurassic Park where they have virtual reality.
Yes, it's like that. And then meanwhile, Boba Fett is like out in the world killing people and stealing things, and presumably being a very naughty boy. And he upstages them at pretty much every opportunity. He's a better fighter. He's a better gunsman. He's a better...
Pretty much better at everything.
Yeah. Boba Fett proves his worth, and he earns the respect of all the other little Boba Fetts. And the last moment for him in the episode is him leaving those kids out in the middle of nowhere. Presumably they could die. Of course they don't die. This is a kid's show. All the kids don't die.
I thought they died.
I thought they died too. I don't know what part you're talking about.
Anakin and Mace Windu say, "Look, there are the kids. We will save them." And then that's it.
I don't know if that happened.
It did. Boba Fett leaves them in the rearview mirror to go back to his new family of bounty hunters. But, it's clearly a difficult decision for him.
You're with her?
I wasn't expecting you to bring friends along.
I couldn't help it, Aurra. What are you gonna do with them?
What do you think?
Let them go?
They're living witnesses, honey.
That was never part of the plan. I just wanted to kill the Jedi that murdered my father.
Well, that will have to wait. Grow up. You'll get your revenge in time. Now get on board. We have to get out of here. Or you can go with your friends, who I'm going to jettison into the unknown.
Keith, what did you think about that moment?
I thought it was kind of melodramatic. He knew that what he was going to get into.
True, he did know what he was getting into, but he's also like a 12-year-old kid, so like it makes sense that he would, try and act hard, and then when he gets there, he's like, oh, I forgot about all these things. I've been living like a goblin out in the outer rim, and like I forgot that what it's like to be around not just me, people that are like me, but people that are like my dad.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like a difficult decision for him to make, and he's conflicted throughout like all of this with like asking like questions like, what are you gonna do with them? I know he asks that on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
He doesn't really want anybody to die.
Do you want to talk about Killian?
Do I want to talk about Killian?
Okay, Jordan, we can skip the pretense. I know you want to talk about Killian. Let's talk about Admiral Killian.
I hate him. He's such a lame character. He's so annoying. He looks funky. He's just so annoying. He doesn't do anything. I have to stay with my ship. And they're like arguing for like 10 minutes. Like, you have to come off the ship. And then he's just like,
I don't think you understand. That's an order. And then he goes, not according to pirate law.
Yeah, he's like, it may be an order, but this is my ship. Arg. Just lame. You have to leave me. Like, that scene was just like, I feel like it was supposed to be like super intense and emotional, and we were just all laughing.
So they do go down with the ship, and the ship crashes, boom, right on some, another budget-friendly planet that's just a bunch of rocks for them to have this crash landing.
Budget-friendly planet.
Yes, lovely.
Budget-friendly prime.
Anakin and Mace go down in pursuit to try and retrieve our Irish friend Killian, or Scottish, whichever.
Pretty sure it's Irish.
I'm pretty sure it was Irish, too. When they arrive at the wreckage, however, Boba Fett and Aurra Sing have already set a trap.
But the trap is, like, super significant because it's in Jango Fett's helmet.
In his head.
In his head, yeah. they kept the head still in the helmet.
It's still there. It's just
rotting. Yeah, which I thought was very symbolic.
Yes.
It's like, you killed my dad? Well, this is a symbol of my dad killing you.
And Anakin and Mace are pinned under terrible wreckage. Boba and Aurra are about to leave. But Anakin sets his own plan in motion where he sends R2-D2 out on a mission to try and get in contact with the Jedi Council.
I need you to go back to the fighters and call the temple for help, okay? Okay? Go get help. We'll hold out as long as we can. Go on, R2. Go on.
Hilarity ensues, battles, fights, more explosions. Jordan, you compared the R2 antics in this episode to something very specific. What was that?
Home Alone. He's just like trying to keep the robbers out by like putting traps around. And
Kidnappers.
It was cute.
I haven't seen Home Alone, but are they robbing the house or are they kidnapping him?
They're robbing the house because they don't even know he's in there.
So in this case,
because like the whole family's going out of town.
Well, in this case, yeah, they don't.
But they don't know
They
he
don't
got
know.
left behind.
They don't know R2's in there either.
Exactly,
They're just
yeah.
like, this place is too dangerous. Let's get out of here.
That's why this is like Home Alone 5.
My favorite part of the episode is when the guy who's like with Bosk and Aurra Sing.
Yeah, the guy whose like jaw is like up to his nose.
Yeah, him. Where he goes, "This place is a death trap," and then that's the name of the episode. And I was like,
yeah, it's very meta. He knows that he's in it.
He knows he's in a show.
He's in an animated show.
He knows he's in Home Alone 5.
So, where Boba Fett was really probably the main character of the last episode, I would say the main character of this one is R2. But of course, because R2 can't talk, and the show is for kids and we want them to watch the show, Anakin and Mace Windu end up doing most of the talking. But there's a nice little setup and for contrast between Anakin and Mace. And again, Mace, I have a theory that Mace Windu, in terms of like his characterization, is just the wild card of the group, meaning that whenever someone needs to have a weird devil's advocate opinion on something, Mace Windu is the wild card who will go out and have that opinion. So in this episode, Mace Windu clearly doesn't like droids very much and is very condescending towards Anakin when Anakin acts nice and friendly to R2.
I don't like the feel of this place either.
Your astromech is programmed to feel.
R2 is kind of a special case. He's got a lot of personality, that's all.
You encourage it too much.
Once the trap is set, Anakin is relying on R2 to save him and Mace Windu's life.
I mean, even Obi-Wan, though, has told Anakin that, like, you get too close to your droid, like, it's just a droid. Like, that one episode where Anakin had to save...
That's right, duel
save
droids.
Him. Yeah.
I think that's just a Jedi thing.
It's just like whenever a Jedi's with Anakin, it's like that conversation is prevalent because Anakin's always just like, "Hey, buddy, what's up?"
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's like it's an example of an obvious attachment.
Yeah,
so of course
exactly.
they don't want to be attached to any kind of. I mean, whether it's living or not, they don't want to be attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, Mace Windu literally calls his droid, calls R2 it.
Right.
And
we
Anakin
haven't really
says
seen that before.
Yeah, we haven't seen that before. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, he knows that it's just a piece of machine, and that's how he's gonna address it.
But at the end of the day, Mace Windu's put in the uncomfortable situation where he has to
thank R2 for saving his life because, your boy always comes through.
Yeah, he didn't know R2 was a main character. He thought he was a supporting character.
Yeah, he's unaware of all the episodes he's been in.
So I don't understand. What did you mean by Mace Windu's the wild card?
Is that whenever they need someone in the episode to have a controversial opinion or to have a conflict with the other characters, Mace Windu is that character. Like with the Zillo Beast episode, that he loves animals, but now we have...
I think it's always just with Anakin, though, because he doesn't really like Anakin. Because both episodes are with Anakin. And I think just because he doesn't like him, he always wants to cause a kind of fight with him.
I don't know,
not fight, but an argument.
Yeah, I don't really agree. I think Mace Windu
he's the only one that's super against the Chosen One theory. Not just that Anakin is the Chosen One, but he's I'm not even sure I trust the idea of the Chosen
One. He feels
in
grumpy.
Revenge of the Sith. And also the Ryloth arc, he's the one that comes up against everyone and says hey, we're going to this political radical for help, and I don't care what you have to say. I think he's just constantly, his role is he's the dissenting opinion. He is the least popular opinion in the room every time.
I agree with that.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. But I think he's usually put in a situation where that's the Jedi norm, not just his opinion. I think he's the one that he's the speaker of the Jedi law.
Well, there's the big reveal moment. Obviously, you said before, Jordan, that the bomb is located within Jango Fett's old helmet. But then halfway through that episode, after Mace and Anakin have been under there for a while, Anakin doesn't even really remember Jango, or specifically remember Boba Fett. I mean, he didn't even meet them in Attack of the Clones. But Mace Windu is the one that very matter-of-factly says, like, yep, I killed his father, and he's here to kill me. And do you think Mace Windu has been in this situation before?
Like someone trying to kill him?
Yeah, like someone wanting revenge
Like
for
personal
something.
revenge?
Yeah, personal revenge, but it's not even like ambiguously like he killed that kid's dad. Like it's not even like
It's tough to say because I can totally see it because he will just do some crazy shit. But also, like, whenever we see him, he's kind of just like chilling. I don't know. I mean, now he's like doing a bunch of stuff with the war, but like personal grudges.
I don't want to think so, just because I think if that's something that constantly happens to him, I think that lessens the character of Boba Fett and Mace Windu at the same time. Like, I want to imagine this as a very unique situation.
Well, I guess the point of me asking that was, Mace Windu does just seem. I mean, obviously he's a Jedi, so emotional attachment and everything, but he's very matter of fact about it, and
I think that's just because he's an asshole.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely a valid interpretation. The source of this grudge is, Boba lost his father, and, losing his father is something that we saw, and, it's pretty graphic, in terms of all the decapitations and arms flying off in all of the movies.
He didn't have to decapitate him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you even called Mace Windu out on the episode that we talked about Attack of the Clones.
Come at me, Mace Windu. I did call you out.
I'm sure he would have no problem with that.
Yeah, he'd cut off.
Yeah, he'd cut off my head too.
But that action set in motion, like I said before, it set in motion the Boba Fett that we know later, but it also set in motion all of these things that have happened off screen. Boba Fett is a different character now than he was in Attack of the Clones, and there's a lot of experience there. And where he enters in this episode is he has this character, Aurra Sing, who's like a mentor for him. She's dangerous. She is a badass.
She does whatever she wants.
Whenever she wants. She's might be a little bit emotionally unstable.
She wants.
She is a killer. She is a paid, hired killer and mercenary.
I love how all of the bounty hunters are kind of like this tight family or like friend group where they all like know each other and like they all know Boba.
I think we're supposed to assume that like obviously there's like probably a really wide variety of bounty hunters, but I think you're supposed to assume that like this group is like the top tier bounty hunters.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just like Jango Fett would bring Boba along, and so
like
they all know Boba.
The whole idea that Jango Fett's the one that's recruited for the clone army. I mean, that's the template for the army of the Grand Republic in the first time in like in 1,000 years. They haven't had an army. They chose Jango Fett as the template for the army.
He is the high standard.
He is a high standard for sure.
Yeah, and it's cool to see Aurra Sing be like his kind of mom, takes him under her wing just because she respects and maybe even loved Jango Fett so much.
Oh, I thought you meant like romantically.
Oh, no. Just like, I love you, Keats, but I don't want to kiss you.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, Aurra Sing does, for such a ruthless character, I mean, I think she does like a lot of solid momming. Maybe not solid momming, but
she definitely sucks at it, but she's trying to a certain extent.
Yeah, she cares about Boba for real. Because, I mean, that was one thing I noted in this second episode, R2 Comes Home, is that most of the bounty hunters we have seen so far, including in the movies, and even in the original trilogy and sequel trilogy and Rebels and the books, they care all about money. Aurra Sing is constantly pushing money out of the way in order to give Boba what he wants.
Yeah, I love that about Aurra Sing. It kind of like gives a little hint to maybe like her past where she understands like personal loss, like Boba Fett does. So she wants to give that revenge to him because she like never got to get that. And
that's like that's the bad mom part, is that she's really good. Yeah. She clearly cares about Boba.
She wants to be the cool mom where
sure.
She lets her son smoke weed and come home late and not have a curfew and drink and stuff.
Yeah, she clearly cares about Boba and wants to give him what he wants, but it's also like the only thing she's good at is killing. So
but
like,
she's also like encouraging him to kill. Like she wants him to kill.
Oh yeah, I mean I think it's clear that Aurra Sing is a villain for villain's sake. She's got an evil streak. That's, she doesn't care about other people, but
She
does
like,
care about Boba.
and she wants him to get used to like the underground, and killing and making tough decisions is gonna cross Boba Fett's path as he grows. And
Sure,
so she wants him to get that experience early on, so maybe he's ready for it.
And the exposure to the clones in the previous episode runs counter to that, right? And, like, he's being pushed along this track towards the Boba Fett that we know because he's probably living such a rough and tumble lifestyle. He's forgotten what his life was like before. So things don't go exactly how Aurra Sing wants, because R2 is successful in R2's mission by escaping the planet and reaching the Jedi Council. And, of course, they do send reinforcements, Plo Koon and Ahsoka, to go save Mace and Anakin. And Aurra Sing and Boba Fett use that as their opportunity to get out of there and count their losses, but hold on to those hostages. Again, yeah, I mean, Aurra is thinking in terms of, saving money, and being able to make more money, but it's still all in service of what Boba wants, which is the death of Mace Windu. And when they find out that Mace Windu is still alive and kicking, in the next episode, there are consequences. In the third episode, Boba Fett and Aurra Sing and Bosk and Weird Toothface send a message to the Jedi Council that they still have Killian and the two clones. And one of the clones is killed, Pons from the Ryloth arc, who is Mace Windu's main clone. Boba Fett wants a face-off with Mace, but because Mace is injured, ultimately Plo Koon and Ahsoka elect to go. And instead of going the straight path, what they do is Plo Koon and Ahsoka go on a mission to discover Aurra Sing and Boba Fett's location. And where they ultimately ended up going after the second episode is back to our old pirate friend Hondo, who is good friends with Aurra Sing. And they look like they're very close.
You never were good at asking for permission to land.
I never asked for permission to do anything, my darling.
Yes! Yes! I remember.
She just grabbed him and just kissed him.
I loved Hondo in this episode. He was
he was awesome.
Yeah.
I guess this has to be his best episode so far.
Yeah.
Like, he has...
There's a little, just slight tweaking in his character. It's just like a little more tongue-in-cheek and like he's having fun with everything. You know?
That, and he also feels like...
super calm.
Do Plo Koon and Ahsoka find out their location? Of course they do, and it leads to one final confrontation between them. But it was nice seeing Plo Koon because I love Plo Koon. He's one of my favorite Jedi characters in the show, and specifically, it's great seeing Plo Koon and Ahsoka together.
Yeah, because they do have like an implied history in that one past episode.
I didn't really think about it too much, but I guess it's sort of like a running thing in the past few arcs that Ahsoka has been on her own. She's been away from Anakin, really, and she was actually, I thought that was mainly just for show, but really I guess she has been on Coruscant by herself this whole time for most of this season. And, we're getting these moments like the scene where Ahsoka and Plo are arriving at the final bar that they go to, and Plo's like, you have learned way too much from your master because you are not subtle, and right now you're messing with my feng shui and I can't get this mission done because you're always getting us caught. And you're very transparently a Jedi.
Is she still on probation from the war or whatever?
That's what I think. It's I thought that was a throwaway line, but I think she's been grounded. She was actually grounded this whole season, which I was like, what? I was like, there's no way she's grounded the whole season, but she was grounded the whole season.
I would disagree with you, but I think it's literally because of the backlash that her character got. I think they just wrote her out.
Yeah, well, I kind of agree.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It was George's idea, right? Ahsoka's character. Or was it Ahsoka's character, or was it just he wanted Anakin to have a Padawan?
I think George was pretty heavily involved in the creation of Ahsoka.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. I definitely think there was desire to keep Ahsoka in the show, but they did need to pull her character back a bit before Backlash got way too out of hand.
Well, but I also think it really, it could have been the initial idea, maybe it was in response to the backlash regarding her character, but every moment that we do get with Ahsoka in this season, I thought was really good, and also specifically, we were talking about it the whole first season, Anakin's, grooming Ahsoka to be a, crazy killer person, and when she gets away from the war, and when she gets away from Anakin, she's had these opportunities to interact with other characters, Tara Sinube, Barriss, and now Plo Koon, where they're all hey, you've got, there are some rough edges here. You need to step up your game, and maybe step up your game even more than Anakin is able to step up his game, So there was that great moment where, like I said, Plo Koon was kind of chastising Ahsoka, and then when she gets in the bar, she does almost sort of listen to what Terrace Nube had said in just the Arc 2 episodes ago.
Calming her mind.
Yep, there's a great one of the.
Love that line.
I thought that was one of the better visualizations of seeing someone use their Force sense in all of Star Wars so far. I think
It reminded me of Spider-Man. Anyone else think that?
No.
I'm playing.
Sorry.
I'm playing the Flash Thompson locker room fight in my head.
Sorry, I'm a film enthusiast. I thought about Spider-Man.
It's by this guy Sam Raimi.
He did The Evil Dead. It's a little cult classic. You probably haven't heard of it.
He did this really cult film called Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah, he did. Jordan's leaving. He's too embarrassed.
I really loved the moment where Anakin is like, why aren't we out there? You're sitting here reading some report or manual or something.
He's playing solitaire. Come on.
And Anakin is just like, he destroyed a Republic cruiser. We need to go after him. And then Mace is like, his goals aren't political. This was a personal attack. What, you want me to go and sink to his level? And then Anakin was like,
Of course.
Yeah, he even gave like some sarcasm to Anakin. He's like, if you aren't aware, we are in the middle of a war.
Mace just does genuinely...
Doesn't like Anakin at all.
Well, okay, well, of course he does not like Anakin, but he genuinely...
This is like good cop, bad cop.
This is bad cop.
They're both bad cops.
Yeah, I mean, to backtrack a little bit to the first episode when the clone is like, Anakin needs you on the bridge, Mace, and then Mace just goes, just like sighs, like, can't this guy just leave me alone? I just want to play solitaire in my room.
Well,
Swipe on Tinder a little bit.
There's definitely that. He does not like Anakin, but he also, I just think, does he genuinely not care about Boba Fett? Or is he like repressing some feelings? Like, does he feel bad about killing his father? And I think
he definitely feels bad, and he's just trying to suppress it and hide it.
I don't think he cares.
Is he okay? It's different.
I think
is he letting him go because he feels bad, Jordan? Would you say that?
I think he just wants to ignore the whole situation because he feels bad about it. Because Mace is like this tough, badass character, so when he does feel bad and has emotional weight on him, he's gonna try to suppress that and not show that at all. I mean, we can see that he is kind of emotional with like the whole Zillo Beast arc, where he does care about certain things in the universe, and I think he does regret killing Jango because he sees the way it's affecting Boba Fett and how now this kid, his mental state at such a young age is just so angry and sad and focused on revenge. Kids are supposed to look up to the Jedi, and look at what he did. Like, in that moment when he did kill Jango Fett, he totally did the opposite of what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. What do you have to say to that, Keats?
I think we've learned a lot about the Jedi. The biggest thing is that the Jedi are hypocritical. Mace cares about the Jedi, and he wants to maintain peace. And I think, in his mind, you just said the Zillo Beast episode, I think he believes life is sacred. But I think he views Jango Fett's death as like a necessary thing to win the war. So I think he would feel bad about it, but I think because it's in the context of the war, he's very easily just dismissing it.
How is
he doesn't care.
Jango Fett's death necessary to the war?
Yeah, because Jordan was talking before about how they need to keep Jango Fett in order to find out who's behind the war. That was Jordan's point in episode 2 where we talked about Attack of the
They wanted
Clones.
to capture Jango Fett. Mm-hmm. That was the whole point of hunting him down, was to capture him, and then Mace just kills him. Mm-hmm. Jango's necessity in the war was to keep him alive, which is literally the opposite. He doesn't need to kill him. It's not like they need him to keep making clones. Maybe he knows he's like the necessary ruthlessness, and he's the one who takes that torch to bear, and it is kind of weighing on him because he knows no one else will do it, so he's the one who has to, because he's the only one who has the strength to do it, but he knows that it's kind of wrong because it's kind of against the Jedi beliefs.
I think
but they are in a wartime, so he has to adapt to the situation.
I don't give him that much credit. I think he's a lot more like he's in the mindset of, oh, I should feel bad, but I really don't have to, because this is necessary for peace.
Meanwhile,
but why is it necessary for peace? Is what I'm saying. Like, why did he have to kill Jango? He had no reason to kill Jango. There was no reason for him to kill him. He wasn't a necessary kill. Like, if he killed Dooku, okay, then I understand. Jango Fett was just protecting Dooku and trying to keep himself alive, protecting himself.
I think because, and this is kind of grasping at loose threads, but I think because the Jedi knew that they were going to lose that fight, or like that they were in the middle of losing the fight, and so they thought there's no way we're going to be able to capture him, so we need to kill him before Count Dooku utilizes him to even, maybe Count Dooku and the Separatists will use him to create a human clone army against our clone army, hypothetically.
That's stupid. They have a droid army. Why would they do that?
Because the clones are superior.
Meanwhile, Boba and Aurra Sing are dealing with the fallout of the previous episode by shacking up with Hondo. But Hondo also has an interesting moral stance in that Hondo is not interested in helping Aurra Sing, even though you get the impression that they're really chummy with each other and they have mutual respect for each other. But Hondo refuses to assist her, and even I would go so far as to say assists Plo Koon and Ahsoka in resolving this situation.
He will not reveal the location of the hostages. I thought you might talk some sense into him.
Tell the Jedi what he wants to know, Boba.
Why should I help anybody? I've got no one.
It is the honorable thing to do. It's what your father would have wanted.
And Hondo, it seems genuinely affectionate toward Boba and seems to have perhaps had a real substantial relationship with Jango. Jordan, do you think that Hondo wants for Aurra Sing to fail and for Boba to be taken out of this?
I think so, because he's kind of like against Aurra Sing this whole time. I mean, she even said that when they worked together, he kind of bailed out. So he's kind of fake with her, I guess, to a certain extent, where he's like, okay, you're my acquaintance, and like I respect you as like fellow criminal, fellow bounty hunter, but like I don't want to like do business with you like ever again. Like he even said like, dude, you just land here without like letting me know like why are you here. And then she just like kisses him out of nowhere. I mean, I think he kind of enjoys that, but
all of these.
And he has respect for. Sorry to cut you off, but he has respect for Jango. So I feel like he has respect for Boba, and probably doesn't want Boba to be like Aurra Sing because she's freaking crazy.
Yeah, he makes a point to say that Jango Fett was a bounty hunter that had real honor. Which when we first meet Hondo, that's something that he relates to Obi-Wan. He's like, even in the face of all of this action that happened with Dooku and everything, you still have honor, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I remember that.
Aurra Sing is definitely a character without honor.
Yeah, and he doesn't like that about her.
And that's the one thing that Boba, seems to really cling on to, probably from his dad. One thing that I think is common sort of across the different eras of Star Wars, I guess, as well, is a lot of the characters in Star Wars come from like a poor background and come from an area where crime is really all around them. I think it's definitely important to remember Anakin that way because, we only see him that way in Phantom Menace, but, he's used to like getting his lunch money taken away from Sebulba, like Sebulba is not a nice dude and, clearly probably has ties to some sort of criminal element or something. Watto's a slave trader. Like those are the people that he grew up with. And, Boba has oftentimes been sort of contrasted with Han Solo, especially in the old EU. I think same deal there. I mean, Boba Fett is, now at this point, he's a character that has literally been raised in crime now. And specifically trained by, Aurra Sing and Bosk and all these other bounty hunters. This is what he knows.
And I feel like he learns the most valuable lesson of all.
Aurra, help! Help me! Don't leave me! No!
The hostages, where are they? Boba, if you do not tell us where those men are, they are going to die. Innocent men.
She left me.
Aurra Sing is that teacher and that mother figure to him for the criminal underworld, and she betrays him at the end and just leaves him behind when he gets captured. And I feel like that's the most valuable lesson in like that setting that he's gonna be in, because you don't trust anyone, Yeah.
And we all said, like, I mean, at least I believe Aurra Sing genuinely cares about Boba, but when it comes down to her life or his,
she's obviously gonna choose hers.
Mm-hmm. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah, the criminal world in Star Wars, made Aurra Sing into a very ugly person. And here's Boba Fett, who's trying to both model himself after Aurra Sing, but he's at the point now where he's realizing, like, this can only take you so far. And he's quick to just be like, when Plo Koon and Ahsoka put him in a situation where he wants to protect Aurra Sing's life, he's going to protect Aurra Sing's life because she's been protecting him. But when it comes down to it, he's abandoned again. He loses another parent figure. And I think that moment may be one of the, final hardening moments for Boba Fett, where he's not going to need to rely on anyone anymore. He's only going to rely on himself. And that's the lesson you learn at like 13. Like, that's how you turn into OT gunslinging Boba Fett.
It's rough out there.
Yes. Carry a jetpack and you'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, already at 13, he's going to learn what it's like to be in jail.
Yeah, the episode ends with Boba Fett being escorted to jail, and Bosk as well, who's, just sort of like, I mean, that could be another potential parental figure for him, would be Bosk. But,
Bosk, yeah, that'd be cool.
I thought that over the entire arc, the ending of the third episode is like the payoff to watching all of it. Because Mace Windu never actually gets to see Boba Fett face to face, except for the first episode where he doesn't realize that it's Boba Fett. So I think that the final, like, face-to-face confrontation is like exactly what the finale needed.
And it was harsh.
I see now I've done terrible things. But you started when you murdered my father. I'll never forgive you.
Well, you're going to have to. Take him away.
And it was harsh and unnecessary. But I also think that's what defines Mace Windu as a character, harsh and unnecessary. I think so Boba Fett said, I feel really terrible about what I did, but you started it by murdering my father. Very true sentiment. Mace Windu's opinion on that? Grow up.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, not a very... Fuck, dude.
Well, you're going to have to.
Yeah, not even like well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but, the situation called for it. No, just go fuck yourself, have fun in jail, you little piece of shit. I hate Mace Windu. I don't hate Mace Windu, but you have to admit he's like one of the most unlikable Jedi.
Everyone loves him, though, because he's a badass.
Everyone loves him because he's Samuel L. Jackson.
That's the only reason with the character of Mace Windu.
In that way, it's probably the smartest casting choice in all of Star Wars.
It's true.
Because you're right, like the dickiest character of all time, but you just give him to Samuel L. Jackson, huge fan base automatically.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Mace Windu in season 2, and each time there's like a different layer to it.
Yeah, I remember you in season 1 were like, man, I can't wait for the finale so we can finally see Mace Windu in action. And now it's just like Mace Windu saturation.
Yeah. But I think he sort of phases out through the rest of the show. But, I'm happy with what we got here. I think we've learned a lot about Mace.
Yeah, this is definitely the Mace Windu story. Like, I don't think there's like another Mace Windu story that anyone would be like yearning for.
Is this essential Star Wars viewing for anyone interested in Star Wars who hasn't seen Clone Wars?
No, I would definitely say that this is like, if you ever wanted like more insight into the whole Boba Fett Mace Windu conflict, then this is for you. But if you're just like someone who's like, I want more Star Wars, it's not completely necessary.
I mean, it's good.
I'd
recommend to watch it because it's one of the better arcs.
I wouldn't even call this like one of the better arcs. I thought this was probably, even though I was like pretty excited for it, I was kind of disappointed. I thought this was like one of the weaker ones.
This definitely has potential though to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think this isn't really a hot take, but in my opinion, I mean, I really find this moment of time for Boba Fett to be the most genuinely interesting in terms of his character, at least that we have in the current canon.
Yeah, because he has dialogue.
He has dialogue. I never read the old EU books, so I don't really know. I know there's a bunch of Boba Fett stories that people really like, and not just crazy fan servicey ones where he's the king of Mandalore, but like just straightforward crime stories with Boba Fett. I do think genuinely that Boba Fett has a lot of potential as a character. As often as he hits the mark, though, he also misses the mark. For me, though, this adds a lot of complication to that character. Pushing forward season 3, a lot of big stuff happening, and a lot of stuff that I'm sure if you haven't watched the Clone Wars before, this is what you've been waiting for. Certain characters come into play that everyone talks about. I'm excited to get there. I can't believe we're already where we're at this point. Wow, it's only 4 more seasons of television until we get to Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, oh yeah, it is 4.
Yeah.
So Yates, what are the next episodes?
Next week, we're going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 5, Corruption, Season 3, Episode 6, The Academy, and Season 3, Episode 7, Assassin.
And so what are those episodes?
I don't know, man. I think it's 3 standalone episodes. I think there might be some Mandalore episodes in there, but we have to wait to get to it.
Ooh. Mandalore. You love that. You gotta love it.
If you would like to get up-to-date information on the World Between Worlds podcast, including a schedule, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. My name is Yates.
My name is Keats.
My name is Jordan.
And we love Star Wars. And we think Boba Fett's okay. May the Force be with you.
I like Star Wars. I don't know about Jordan. It kind of seems like he talks about how much he hates Star Wars every minute I'm with him.
You can't hate Boba Fett and hate Mandalore, because then you're not a real fan. May the Force be with you.
And also with you.